Well, folks, we didn't expect to say this today, but sometimes the news hits a little bit harder than what we're prepared for. Former President Joe Biden, the man who spent decades serving this country, he is now facing what may be the toughest battle of his life: a heartbreaking diagnosis. One word: cancer. Ladies and gentlemen, today is Sunday, May 18th, 2025, and not just any cancer, a very aggressive, advanced stage with metastasis to the bone. So, guys, this is not speculation. It's actually been confirmed. And the details just released are more serious than what many people imagine. But what's even more emotional is what his family is doing behind the scenes right now. And the surprising words from Donald Trump and Kamala Harris, even Representative Jasmine Crockett, that nobody saw coming. So stick with me, because I want to kind of talk about everything that's going on right now that you haven't heard yet. The private doctor statements, the truth behind Biden's medical history, and how this devastating update could possibly change the conversation in Washington forever. Now, drop me a quick comment down below if you had a feeling something was going on behind the scenes with Biden's health all along. Drop me a quick 1 in the comments down below if you already had a feeling something was going on with Biden. Drop a 2 if you thought he was healthy all along. So we're heartbroken to share the news, guys, to say the least. But what actually happens next could surprise all of us. So what started as a routine checkup quickly turned into probably one of the most alarming medical discoveries of Joe Biden's life. Just days ago, his team confirmed that the former president has been diagnosed with an aggressive form of prostate cancer. And this is not speculation. It's not a rumor. It is straight from his personal office. Doctors found a Gleason score of 9, which is the highest grade group, grade 5, which signals a highly aggressive, fast-growing cancer. And even more concerning, it has metastasized to the bone. Or I should say it has metastasized to the bone. Anyway, this means it's no longer localized. This means that the cancer has spread. This means that it's basically making this a lot more of a serious diagnosis. But how did we even get here, right? Well, according to the statement that was released, Biden had been experiencing increasing urinary symptoms, which prompted further testing. And then that's when the doctors discovered a small nodule during a routine physical exam. So that single finding led to more evaluations and ultimately this devastating diagnosis. Now, what's even more surprising, while this sounds grim, doctors are saying that there still may be hope, and the next detail will probably shock you. Now, guys, Medicare is not one size fits all, and picking the wrong plan, it could cost you hundreds. Chapter helps you to avoid all of that. Their advisors compare every single plan in your zip code, no bias, no sales pitch, just free help. The goal is to save you money and to protect your benefits. Julie from Kansas, she saved $400 a year. Jamie in Texas saved $600 a year. And Chapter's help is totally free. So you can reach them online at askchapter.org/Ron, or you could call them on the phone if you want to talk to a person at 909-563-8279. Make the safe choice, guys. But here's where things take a turn for the worse that a lot of people may not have expected. Now, despite how aggressive this particular cancer is, despite the high Gleason score and the spread to the bone that doctors are saying, they're actually saying that there's still a path forward. Why? Well, this is because the cancer is what's known as hormone sensitive. So what this means is basically it still responds to treatments that reduce or block male hormones, which fuel the growth of prostate cancer cells. And so this pretty much opens the door for a wide variety of targeted therapies that could manage the disease potentially for years. And while the word metastasize often sends a chill down our spines, experts are urging the public not to assume the worst. So what do you guys think about this so far? Dr. Alan Tan from Vanderbilt, although he's not a part of President Biden's medical team, he did call this type of cancer bread and butter uh, genitorial oncology. In other words, it's serious, but it's not rare, and it's very often treatable with the right approach. By the way, if you guys are appreciating the content and you appreciate the daily news, the breaking news updates, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Now, another top voice we heard from was Dr. Chris George from Northwestern. He agrees, basically saying remission is absolutely possible, even with someone at Biden's age. So the key will be how his body responds and, of course, what the PET scan shows behind the scenes. And that scan, that could be the make or break moment of this entire journey. But what's happening now behind closed doors? Well, stick with me, guys, because I want to dive into Biden's treatment options, the emotional decisions that his family is now weighing in private. And right now, Biden and his family is in a very private and emotional phase of this journey, quietly consulting with top physicians and weighing out multiple treatment options. Sources very close to the family are saying that everything's on the table. You know, anything from hormone therapy to more aggressive treatments like chemotherapy or even radiation. But as of now, there's no final decision having been made as of yet. And it's still pretty unclear where the former president's going to be receiving his treatment. He's currently at home in his Wilmington, Delaware residence, surrounded by his family. And while a lot of this is happening behind the scenes, the whole world is watching. So whether you're a fan of Joe Biden or not, send a prayer for the guy, okay? Drop a quick amen in the comments. And it's not just his supporters who are rallying. Something truly rare happened this moment that this diagnosis was made public. Donald Trump, yes, Trump himself took to Truth Social to send his well wishes, writing, "We extend our warmest and best wishes to Joe Biden, and the family, and we wish Joe a fast and successful recovery." Kamala Harris called Joe Biden a fighter and said that she believes he'll face his challenge with the same strength that has defined his life. Senators Dick Durbin and Tim Kaine offered prayers and support and unity. And even Marjorie Taylor Greene, a known critic, opened up about her own father's battle with cancer, urging Americans to pray for Joe Biden's recovery. For a brief moment, the usual politics and the political lines disappeared. All of a sudden, we're all just people, Here you have someone who is just facing a challenge that any of us could possibly have faced. And, kind of hits you in the feelings, doesn't it? I think what we're seeing now is a shared human response. But this story actually goes deeper than what the headlines and the hashtags are saying, guys. We need to talk about how Joe Biden's cancer diagnosis is actually reshaping the entire Democratic Party. And the real reason this news may have actually come at the most critical time imaginable. So here's where the political undercurrent kind of starts to change, starts to kind of shift. For years, many in the Republican Party pointed to Joe Biden's age and health as a central issue, a vulnerability in his leadership and his campaign. But since this diagnosis was made public, even Biden's most critical vocal critics out in the public, they're kind of pressing pause on those attacks right now. They're doing something that we rarely see in today's political climate. They're actually showing some empathy. And, because this is not just some political figure anymore, it's actually a human being that's facing a life-threatening battle. But behind closed doors, the political consequences of this news are already unfolding. This diagnosis landed just after Joe Biden officially withdrew from the Democratic Party, really. Many insiders question whether Joe Biden's age and condition should have prevented him from running in the first place during the 2024 presidential election. But now, with this cancer diagnosis that's out in the open, the whispers have actually turned into some full-blown reckoning inside of the party. And Biden's insistence on running, many people are wondering, did this contribute to Trump's win in November? And just drop me a quick comment down below if you think so. Let me know if you think Joe Biden running for president in November ended up helping Trump to win. Could an earlier transparency have changed the course of history? I mean, these are the kind of questions that are now echoing through these Democratic circles. But for now, that criticism has been put on hold. There's actually been a rallying of support, a rare display of unity. But how long is this really going to last? And what happens next? Now, for Joe Biden, cancer isn't just a political issue. It's personal. It's deeply personal. In 2015, he suffered what he called the greatest heartbreak of his life, the loss of his son, Beau Biden, to brain cancer. The tragedy didn't just devastate his family, it ignited a mission. And from that moment forward, Biden committed himself to ending cancer as we know it. Started with his leadership of the original Cancer Moonshot Initiative during the Obama administration. And then, of course, when he became president, he didn't just revive it, he actually supercharged it. Under his leadership, the Moonshot has already helped nearly 8 million Americans receive free screenings for prostate, breast, lung, colorectal, cervical, and even skin cancer. And so even after withdrawing from the 2024 race, Biden's focus didn't waver. At his very first political and public event post-campaign, he announced $150 million in new grants designed to essentially give surgeons the tools that they need to be able to remove tumors more effectively and safely. So I think it's pretty clear at this point, it's not just politics for him. It's kind of about a little bit more than that. It's about making sure that no other parent has to bury their child and no other American has to face cancer without hope. But, this really is not the first health scare that Biden's faced. Now, this latest diagnosis, it didn't come completely out of nowhere. In fact, if you guys have been paying attention, particularly to Joe Biden's medical records over the last several years, there's been some signs. If you think back to 2021, during a routine colonoscopy at Walter Reed Medical Center, doctors discovered a 3-millimeter polyp. Now, it was benign, but it wasn't ignored. According to the then White House physician Kevin O'Connor, the polyp was slow growing, but considered precancerous. It was safely removed and no additional treatment was required. Now, interestingly, though, a similar polyp had been removed 13 years before that in 2008. And so now, while those incidents were not directly related to prostate cancer, there's a part of a larger medical pattern. This is one that really kind of shows how closely Joe Biden's health has been monitored and how silent but serious issues can remain hidden for years. It's a reminder, cancer doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it's a whisper and not a scream. And that's why early screenings and regular checkups matter, not just for residents, not just for presidents, but for all of us. Drop me a comment down below, just a quick yes or no, if you have either experienced any kind of issue with cancer or maybe you know someone with cancer. Just a quick yes or no, guys. But how common is this really? And as shocking as this news sounds and feels, here's what a lot of people don't even realize. Prostate cancer is one of the most common cancers in America. According to the American Cancer Society, 1 in 8 men will be diagnosed with this prostate cancer during their lifetimes. That's kind of scary to think about, right? I mean, think about that. That's somebody in your family, your workplace, your circle of friends. And while it's often caught early and treated successfully, it remains the second leading cause of cancer death among men in the U.S., second only to lung cancer. Now, for men over 65, the risk grows even more. And at age 82, Biden falls into one of the most vulnerable groups. But that doesn't mean that it's hopeless for him. Modern treatments, especially for hormone-sensitive cases like Joe Biden's, are advancing rapidly. And early detection, even in later stages, can mean years of extended life and sometimes full remission. So while Biden's diagnosis is definitely serious, yes, it's also reflecting a larger health crisis that affects millions of American families every year. And right now, former President Joe Biden, he is at home in Wilmington, Delaware, surrounded by his closest family members, advisors, physicians. Now, those who know him say he's calm, focused, and as always, fighting with quiet resolve. But let's be honest, there's uncertainty in the air. And right now, no official treatment plan has been announced. In fact, the Biden family, they're weighing their options very carefully. They're trying to balance the urgency of the diagnosis with the desire to choose the path that offers the most quality, comfort, and time. So this is not just a medical update. It's a moment in American history, guys. A former president who once led the country only a few months ago through pandemic recovery, international conflict, economic uncertainty, he is now personally facing his own private battle. And the country is watching, the country is praying and reflecting. We don't know what tomorrow is going to bring. But what we do know is this. We do know Joe Biden is a fighter. He fought personal tragedy, political wars, public scrutiny for over 5 decades. And now he's fighting something bigger than an election. He's fighting for his life. So as this story continues to unfold, I'm going to keep you guys updated. But right now, I just want to go ahead and put politics aside. Let's focus on humanity, focus on healing and on hope. Please keep the Biden family in your thoughts, guys, because no matter who you voted for, no one fights cancer alone. All right. Now, guys, if you found this video helpful, informative, respectful, please hit the like button, share, and subscribe to the channel to help spread awareness. Drop your thoughts, your prayers, or personal experiences in the comment section down below. I always read all the comments. And stay tuned, guys, because in my next video, I'm going to be discussing, maybe not my exact next video, but in my future video, I'm going to discuss how this diagnosis could quietly reshape the 2028 political landscape and who may be stepping forward behind the scenes. So anyway, you guys take care. Don't forget to give our friends over at Chapter a call. See how much money you can save on your Medicare. And I will see you guys on the next one. Be safe.